So welcome back, everyone. We're going to give it another shot here. I turned down the settings again to a slower frame speed, and hopefully it will work. All right, let me adjust the video here. We are in the midst of a game against. Yeah, thanks for letting me know, Serenchi. I had no clue. At first, it looked good, and I wasn't really looking at the video. So it started off good, and then all of a sudden it went to drop frames and problems. Thanks for letting me know as soon as it went off. Looks like we're back, and it's fine. It's very strange for me that the settings could be the exact same speed as yesterday, and I suddenly have issues. So here, theoretical battle posing me some problems with this Queen C2 move. This may be some kind of transposition. Some sort of transition to a Queen C2-like variation. If you played C5 in the classical variation, which is a very common line, and white played A3, what would happen? For example. So he's threatening E4, kind of overrunning the center. I think we'll go with the Hübner type of plan in this position. I have to be prepared to do something about E5. And the Queen on C2 doesn't seem that well placed to me. More flexible on D1. The Olympiad started 1 hour ago. It's the last round already. What does transposition mean? Transposition means changing the order, I guess. Not really, though. Transposition means, like, in chess terms, it concretely means going from one opening to the other by a different order of moves. So we can start with one opening and turn it into another opening by an unusual order of moves. Numks. So thanks for bearing with me here. We've had a lot of OBS issues. Hopefully we'll work it out, but looks good now. I turned down frame rate a little bit. Don't know why it would need to be different from yesterday. It was already turned down, but we'll live with it. Okay, so theoretical battle plays Queen C2 in an unusual position here. It's the same as if he had played Queen C2 on move 4, and then after C5, played A3. And then bishop takes C3, not queen takes C3, but B takes C3. Does that make sense? Yeah, and like I played knight C6, and he plays knight F3, and I played D6. Always a little hard for me the first game, I feel. The action of transposing. There have to be other uses for the word transposing. I don't know, what about in music or something? Have I heard this word used for music? Good question. So, yeah, hold off on the package delivery, the package sending to Hungary, because I'm having some major struggles with Hungarian postal system. The package from the US, a very small package that should have arrived like in 2 days, and it just like on the website tracking page for the US, it says they attempted delivery, but I have no notification whatsoever. So if you're going to deliver a package, at least leave a note for somebody that you tried to deliver it. Otherwise, they wouldn't know that you tried to deliver a package. Alright, anyway, those are off-stream issues. Today is a good day, as Ice Cube might say. I've been thinking, guys, now we've got a few people here. Trouble falling asleep last night. Only 12 players, though. It's kind of slow to start in the mornings. I've been thinking about doing like a day where I play unorthodox openings. What would you guys think about that? Would anybody... And how would you guys feel if we had one day where I focused on playing kind of... I don't mean like really ridiculous openings, necessarily, but more unorthodox openings. So, if I stream 5 days a week, if one day we have unorthodox openings, to make it kind of fun. So it doesn't get stale. Because I've been thinking I'm playing all these like serious mainline openings. But we should try to have a little bit of variation. You know, I've played many weird openings in my career. Maybe not many, but some. And for example, I used to play the St. George, like e4, a6. It occurred to me, I've played in a number of serious tournament games. It occurred to me yesterday that, like, I think in hundreds of stream games, I've only played maybe one time e4, a6. And it used to be something that I did a lot. So I thought, like, one stream a week, or maybe every few weeks, maybe even once a month, we could do something like that. Try to mix in some new ideas. Like f4. Yeah, f4 qualifies barely as an unorthodox opening. I think f4 is kind of on the margin. I mean, it's almost a mainstream opening. So is the Olympiad really close, Saroche? I didn't see the exact point scores as of yesterday. Now we play g3. I would imagine the c4 pawn would have some issues after this setup. I mean, with this setup, because the bishop's gone to g2. But he can defend it later on with like knight d2 with the queen. I don't have a lot of time here. b6, bishop g2, bishop b7 doesn't look really great. Don't have a lot of time to decide on this. Guess I'm gonna have to just kind of go. At least I don't have to worry about bishop g5, because when you see g3, the bishop g5 type ideas, they kind of go out the window. Because there's no retreat back to h4 and g3. Theoretical battle is in worse shape than me on the clock here. Rook b8 would be kind of interesting. Getting off the long diagonal. USA and Ukraine tied for first, and Russia a point behind. You say Rusland, we say Orosog. It's a pretty subtle play, I would say, by theoretical battle. First of all, playing a3, then transposing to a queen c2 variation. Okay, well, you're giving me e5 with tempo here. It's a fairly standard kind of move anyway. Now bishop g5. Feels a little random. h6, take. I feel like Botvinnik is white. We've got a lot of pressure on d4 now. Yes, knight d2. Okay, my knight's hanging. Knight on the rim is dim, but it is keeping an eye on that. Take with the queen here is even possible. It is keeping an eye on that pawn on c4. So I think we're solid. Botvinnik was a big believer in this kind of pawn formation. White gets dominant control of d5, oftentimes. The important thing is there's no knight. We're not letting any knights into d5. He goes to d6. That's well and good. Keep f5 controlled. Theoretical battle is interesting player. Wow. Queen f5. Queen e4, excuse me. And the other day, or yesterday, he just kept making moves and like desperately offering draws in lost positions. He's very competitive. In that respect, he reminds us of someone, right? Not really sure how to do this. This queen on e4 is just murdering me. So it's gone. Wonder about rookie. D8. Wow. He didn't consider taking the two rooks on d8. Wow. Very competitive. theoretical battle with no country. He says bye. Is that it? You get in your game and you say bye to the stream? Play one more game with Numps here and wait for Shansha, because I don't feel I'm up to the challenge yet. Shansha has been playing very, very strong the last couple of matches, so I want to feel fully warmed up. So what about this guy, Theoretical Battle? Theoretical Battle, you don't have any ability to chat on the Twitch. We'd like to know a little bit more about you if you want to take part. Custom Mods wants to play. Anybody's welcome to challenge me. Just make sure it's between like 5 minutes and 3 seconds and 8 minutes and 3 seconds. Please include an increment. How come Sludgy never plays the Budapest Gambit? Because Sludgy had a very bad experience with the Budapest Gambit. Don't ever use any sort of mind-altering substances while playing in a tournament game and play the Budapest Gambit. That's all I can say. Because bad things will happen. You get a little too creative. You lose to some old dude that never ever beat you in 10 tries. Yep. Could happen to you. Make sure you're stone cold sober if you're going to play the Budapest Gambit. That's my advice. Alright, Numps here. It's kind of a weird setup. You played early b6, g6. I remember, yeah, I played like one game and it was terrible. Under the influence of something, and I was facing like, I was maybe 2200 facing a 2100 player, and I played the Budapest Gambit, and they played this variation, you know, with like e4, which Alekhine played, and I just went completely crazy, and lost to this guy who never ever, in 10 other games, never really posed that serious a threat against me. So I was like, no. Occasionally we'll drink alcohol when I play a game, but that's where you should draw the limit. Knight f6, this is annoying. I don't really know what I want to do. Play something like rook e1, bishop f4. I don't really want to close the position here with d5. I guess there's some validity to it. Since he's played bishop b7, I think against old people. Not just some old dude, an old dude who like never ever even scored better than maybe 15% against me or something. He's probably dead by now. I have respect for old dudes. Every year I get closer to being an old dude. Knight f6, but I mean, this guy was in his 70s and I was 20, so he seemed like a lot older, you know. I mean, a dude who was 50 years older than me. That's what I'm talking about. Was on mushrooms in Detroit playing speed chess with a street hustler. Oh man, knight e4. That really kind of cast doubt on rook e1. Numps. What does Numps deal? He's 1590. He played the opening well, though. Yeah, mushrooms would probably be the same thing, I guess. I don't think you should. Don't play tournament games. Speed chess is fine. You can do what you want when you're playing speed chess, but man, alright, I guess we have to take here. Now the rook on e1 is just somewhat redundant, I would say. E3, reinforcing D4. So we have no opening advantage, which is what we aim for. Rook E1 could turn out to be actually a useful move. That's what I'm hoping here. Guys, if you challenge me and you lose your challenge, let me know. And let me know via Twitch so that I can remember where you should be in the list. Sean Shaw's next, M47. And those challenges are good. WGM at Alexandra. We don't know if she's really a WGM or she just put WGM in front of her name. Or it's just a guy who likes to pretend he's a WGM. Why didn't you take the fork in the last game? Didn't see it. This could transpose to a position where Rook E1 actually makes some sort of sense. So the Budapest Gambit had a kind of early bias for me. The one time I attempted to play it was this like humiliating upset. And things like that just stick with you. Look at this knight A6. That's quite a move. Now if I play bishop b2, nunks, 1500, using 45 seconds, we'll play this. He's played the opening perfectly so far. Not just perfectly, I mean, I think in a very hyper-modern way that I like. You know, double fianchetto with this move, in addition, seems good. Now, knight b4 looked like a real threat to me, and I didn't want to weaken my structure with a3, but we'll do what we have to do. I think black has a very, very reasonable position here. Same structure as last game. Similar. Not really. I mean, we have d4 and c4 for white. That's as far as the similarity goes. And white played g3 and bishop g2. But that's still not really, you know, black's setup is completely different. So, turns into a kind of standard d4 game. Looks like a Queen's Indian. But white doesn't have a serious advantage here. In my opinion, I played too quietly. Highly unusual, this g6 with d6 so early. I should have played e4 here. I guess, actually, I should have played e4 here. So, g3 just isn't really critical. I mean, if I don't have an advantage here, it's no one's fault but myself. We should have occupied the center with e4. Much more testing than this fianchetto setup, which leaves him in a pretty playable position. I think I've got fixed third place in the queue. I told you before, I'm not going to play you first because you're like too raring to go. We have to a little bit wake up. Yesterday against Shansha, I played the wrong move by accident, which turned out to have been played by the Iranian Grandmaster Gayam, who I'm starting to think I'm like a kindred soul with or something, because Gayam plays a lot of the same openings I do. The Blumenfeld Gambit, this variation of the Richter Rouser for black. But Gayam played like me yesterday in my game against Shansha, I think out of just the same as me, like basically probably not remembering the theory. But it actually is a playable pawn sacrifice, and he had to play perfectly to keep it. So maybe there's more games. I was just checking on the Lichess master database, you guys. If you have using Lichess, obviously, you can use the master database in Lichess, the opening explorer feature, I should say. There are a lot more games in the major, like, commercially available databases. So there's a lot of games that aren't in there if you do opening explorer, but well, actually a lot of important older games that aren't in there from the last century, but for all intents and purposes it's a very useful tool here. And they've also pared it down so they're just master games, and they've taken out a lot of lower rated games. So there may have been more games. Anytime you search for an opening here in Opening Explorer and you see games by masters, there probably are more games. You should check again in ChessBase or a major opening database if you're really serious about trying to find opening preparation. You can't rely on just the Lichess Opening Explorer if you want to do it on a professional level. Alright, anyway, having said that, we're going to move on now with what? Queen d2 looks really innocuous. Now what? Numps played h6. Such an interesting move, actually. Such an interesting move, taking away the g5 square, potentially, from my knight. Is the Blumenfeld Gambit similar to the Blumenfeld attack? Well, I've never heard of the Blumenfeld attack. That's interesting. So, no. I mean, it's similar in that it's probably named after the same player. But as far as openings go, I don't know. It could be called like the Blumenfeld counterattack. Numps. Numps is starting to kind of concern me here. This looks extremely troublesome. Starting to think I made the wrong decision to play bishop f1. Play this like a normal Queen's Indian. Alright, so you're going to win a pawn if I don't go back now. It's really bizarre. Knight c7, knight e6. We've only played Numps 3 times. Usually we had a good game. This game he's playing like a hyper-modern genius. I wanted to unpin my knight, and then he puts all this pressure on d4. I have nowhere to go. And there's the additional problem of knight g5. Instead of bishop f1, I should have just played some simple move like queen d2 or rook a2 to defend my bishop on b2. And I tried to be fancy. The whole plan was to play bishop f1. Then he comes with knight e6, and I can't play knight d2 because of dropping my pawn on d4. He plays bishop b7, and I don't have a way to defend d4. And then the other thing is, he's also got this ability to come to g5. And he also has g5 in the event of something like knight h4. So I've wasted a lot of time here, more or less. But I can meet bishop takes f3 with bishop takes f3. To look into that gambit, I rely on my own brain, but I use ChessBase Mega Database, Komodo, and Hierarch's opening book. Well, I just find the convenience of using the Lichess Opening Explorer very, very good. But I wish they would. I wish they would extend the games back a little bit further in history. You don't have any of the games from like pre-1980 in the Lichess Opening Explorer, it seems like. And there's so many important games that were played like before 1980. Very rarely I might see one pop up from the 70s or something, but maybe they have like World Championship games in there, I hope, and stuff. Okay, but I mean, the average chess player can't afford to, to go out and buy like a professional program like ChessBase. Queen d7. Numpks obviously specializing in hyper-modern play. He's playing a little bit like this Grandmaster I played, Romanov. Similar strategic conception. This is the move against Romanov that my computer engine wanted me to play all the time that I didn't, which was basically being willing to close the position with the white squared bishop for me, and it was a similar kind of double fianchetto thing for black. I just kept not playing d5, because I was afraid he would trade on, like this. Bishop takes b2, takes on b2, bishop takes f3, bishop takes f3, move his knight somewhere, and I'd have a closed position where I had a bad bishop. Closed position where I have a bad bishop against the knight. That's basically what I was trying to avoid. But what's interesting is when you analyze it with Stockfish or with the computer engine, the computer puts a lot of importance in the space advantage that white has in this kind of position, which I think is interesting, because I think for the most part, most players would argue that trading like 3 sets of pieces, as Numpks has here, would pretty much kind of nullify the space advantage as being really, really valuable. I think you played this really well, Numpks, I have to say. And black is a fair amount of counterplay. Now you have a problem. Got yourself in time pressure. You got mated. But I think the opening is really valid. It's excellent. Yeah, he dropped the mate in a few moves, but prior to that, I thought it was excellent, like hyper-modern kind of play by black in this game, and he shouldn't lose, just he got very low on time. But most interesting would be the position, or the type of position what we got after this. Here, it was an error. He should exchange for this knight on f3. This is the idea right here. Go to analysis board. Bishop takes f3. I can't take here because you're taking another piece on g2. I have to take back with the bishop. And now we have this position where, yes, black has less space. I'm still pinned, ironically, here. So you can get b5, and the computer really likes white in this position, but not that much. It's half a pawn advantage. So, I mean, it's kind of hard because I have this bad bishop. So, I noticed when I played with Romanov that the computer kept wanting me to do d5, wanting me to do d5. It really likes this kind of space advantage, even if you have a bad bishop. Perhaps even overestimating white's chances a little bit. But okay, I'll admit white has maybe a small advantage there. Still not that easy position to play. Shansha, you disappeared. Sean Shaw. What's up? What's up, guys? Free trade agreement, you played well. We're all experts on openings, given that I'm in the opening for most of the game. What does that mean? Is that like a backhanded compliment or something? There are ways you can get it for free, Free trade agreement. Not saying you should do it. I love you guys. Yeah. You learned the opening style of play from me. Well, that's a compliment. Hey, Shansha, what's up? Where's your challenge, man? I lost your challenge. I thought... Yeah, there you are. Alright. We're going to play him because he's been waiting, guys. He was actually first in line, but I held him back because he's been scoring really well against me lately. And I wanted to play a couple of games to get warmed up. I didn't see you down there at the bottom of the list, sorry. And then it's M47, Geese, Custom Mods. Andrea Peroni is challenging me to 10-3. It's too long. Nash Equilibrium, 8-4. It should be 8-3. If you guys can modify those challenges to like 8-3, I would appreciate it. So, guys, what do you think about a day where I played unorthodox openings? A stream where I play unorthodox openings. I don't mean like really stupid openings. Marginally stupid openings. Just to kind of mix it up. Because as I was saying in the beginning of the stream, for example, I played the St. George defense in a lot of tournament games. Maybe 6 or 7 times in serious tournament games. And I've never really played it on the stream. Because I try to be ultra serious here, but maybe... Is there anything else to play in this position? Well, maybe, you know, we should occasionally have a little fun. How are you doing, guys? Numps likes that idea. Okay, so Najdorf Sozen. I really need to play another system against the Najdorf. This is an opening, not like there's anything wrong with what I'm doing, but I think the point is that we need to have like more than one opening variation ready to play, because it's like too easy to prepare for me if I play just one thing, like this Bishop C4 against the Najdorf, for example. I think I need to have at least 2 variations that I'm ready to play. And that applies to any serious player, you know, not just myself, but it's not good for people to be able to just know what you're going to play. Like Shansha, who prepares 4 hours for every game with me. Yeah, guys, just change your challenge to like 8 plus 3, not 10 minutes. We have to draw the line somewhere, so we've drawn it arbitrarily at 8 plus 3. I think the only serious game I ever played was with John Fedorovich in a U.S. championship in this line. And although it was a serious game and we tried, we were both friends, so I think that both of us didn't really want to or feel the need to take any great risks. And that game was a draw in like 25 moves or something. So I actually did study a lot this line long ago, but it was 15 years ago. I had a friend of mine who worked exclusively on this particular variation with me quite a bit. I remember some long sessions in my apartment where we analyzed for 4 or 5 hours over a period of a few days, 4 hours a day, just on the Najdorf. Bishop C4. But all that is ancient history. I studied knights for 6 hours a day. 4 hours a day for 3 or 4 days, just on this type of line, intensively. That was a long time ago. That was 15 years ago. Sometimes you got to put in a few hours. I mean, I'm not an opening specialist. I openly admit that. I have good knowledge of the openings, and I can teach openings, but I'm not a theoretician. I mean, there's a line between, you know, certain players and other players. Certain players are obsessed with openings. They're like opening files or whatever you want to call them. I had the feeling that Shah is a little bit like that. Like, his biggest love, from the information I've, been given, is that this opponent of mine is, fondest of the opening stage of the game. He really loves openings, studying openings. So, for him, I mean, it's the most interesting part of chess. I think it's, for me, I like openings, but it's not the only part of the game that I really find, most important. Queen c7, stopping e5, and we had some games with Scheveningen, the Polish player who's on the stream a lot, on Lichess a lot. Danillos, how much would it cost for you to analyze one of my games? It's an interesting proposition and something that we can talk about. There are several possibilities. I could offer this in my coaching profile or whatever, but to just analyze games, rather than like taking lessons, for example, is a totally normal thing. I mean, even 20 years ago, you could send your games to, I should say like 30 years ago, you could mail your games to masters and have them analyze them. I think that this is a good idea if you don't want to like commit yourself to taking lessons or something. You might just like ask a strong player to analyze individual games. So you can send me a message on Lichess or email me at videochesstrainer@gmail.com, and I'll work out something to analyze a game or a few games. We could also do like video analysis of games, something to think about. In the modern era, 30 years ago, you would have a master analyze your game by mail. I remember when I was a kid in Chess Life, there were advertisements for some of the strongest players would advertise in like Chess Life magazine to analyze, like Lev Albert. You could send Lev Albert your game to analyze by mail. So it's kind of a good idea. We do a modern version of that today. This is a big question about this capturing on b3, which kind of bothers me. I never know which way to take back in these lines. You want to take back toward the center, but in many lines you're facing this kind of annoying counterplay in some instances against your c pawn for white here. Alright, so the normal break is f5 because he doesn't have a knight coming to e5, first of all. And I want to put pressure thematically on the f5 pawn. So I'm guessing this is probably book. It's very possible I played this game already with Shah. I've had a number of similar games against, as I said, Scheveningen and Shah, and maybe a few others in almost the same identical position. What else can I play here? There's not clearly like a move for my rooks. It's not clear where my rooks belong at this stage, and I think the only other useful moves for white would be the like hyper aggressive g4, or perhaps king h1, the only giggle prophylactic move that we can make in this position. I hate openings, period. Mail order masters. Yeah, man. I mean, I wish I had done some mail order lessons with like Reshevsky or something when I was 10. Whenever I started, like, okay, I was 11. Yeah, imagine no internet. B5. Okay. He goes with the B5, so we can take and play knight F5. That's one interesting thing here that isn't possible sometimes. We take and play knight F5, and then snap the guy on E7 at some point. There's the additional threat of B4, which I have to really watch out for. Pawn takes pawn, knight F5, B4, for example, and I'm a little concerned about my E4 pawn just falling there. That's the one thing I don't like about this browser-based chess play, is that we can click on the screen and something weird happens. One advantage of a dedicated chess server, but I'm sure all the bugs will get worked out. So B5 right away, some sort of improvement on, I think he played earlier like knight takes B3. Very, very bad allergies here in Budapest. A lot of allergens in the air. You guys are wondering. I don't want to think about a world without internet. Have you watched any of the Baku games? Yeah, I've seen some. I mean, not extensively. I did a video for a site that I work for. Yeah, that's my YouTube channel, is Video Chess Training. But I actually work for chesslecture.com since a long time. And I actually did a video on the game Seth Rahman versus Short yesterday from the England-India match. It was one of the most complicated games I've seen in a long time. Short played badly, but it was a really, really fantastically interesting and complicated position. So we just finished that video, and I've seen a number of the games, mostly the games from the US team I followed. The other player may have left the game. You can claim victory, call the game a draw, or wait. I've noticed since we got back from the US, from vacation time, Custom Mods is a member of Chess Lecture. Wow, we have like a built-in. We have a built-in advertiser. That's awesome. Yeah, we've been doing Chess Lecture since like 2006, I want to say. Maybe older, like 2004. It's been like 10 years. So Shansha's back now. Alright, so knight F5, the problem is it's kind of costly in terms of time. I'd like to get his dark squared bishop, which is kind of a key defensive piece. But B4 is gonna undermine my... It looks like it's gonna undermine my knight and undermine my center. Wonder if I have some queen G3 type thing. Alright, I'm running out of time, so queen H3 is to be considered. Self-pin. I have too much time to think about it. Basically, alright. I'm just going to default blunder here. Default blunder. That was a really wild idea I just had. Had a really wild idea here. If this doesn't confuse the issue, then nothing will. But it wasn't a good idea to let him take my e4 pawn. I don't know, though. I think I already made a small mistake. Probably I had to do knight f5, but I didn't find the right answer. If I do knight f5, I'm not sure what I'm doing after b4. So hopefully this will confuse him. That move justified your facial expression. Yeah, it's a very weird idea. Yeah, it was... Yeah, if you're wondering why the weird facial expression, definitely. Now you know why. Got a triple attack on b6. I mean e6, and we're attacking his rook. I just can't believe it really works. I mean, there had to be something for black. But it had the desired effect that he didn't really have time to look at every possibility, which is something he needs to be able to do there. So he kind of had to rush and make the obvious move. But still, it looks pretty close. White has tiny pawn structure advantage. Guess I could have taken with the other knight there. It felt a little dangerous. It's offering me a draw. Getting overconfident. I think white is definitely better here. Perhaps now, not so clear. Take a4. Probably lose material if I do that. Hoppa. Yeah, he finally realized he just traded in. I get in d5. Maybe black is lost here. Now, yes, bishop f6. Bishop takes f6. It's maybe lost. Yeah, I think it should be a draw, but Maybe not now. I'm not sure though. Yeah, I mean, yeah, when you offer to draw, it's maybe a draw, but I think that white should play it out because only white can really be better with the outside pawn there. No risk to play on there. M4-7. Interesting game. M4-7. New opponent from Germany. Good, cool. The Scandinavian. I was thinking about this last night when I couldn't sleep. This opening has started to like bother me because we're seeing Carlsen play it, and I was kind of hoping for Queen D8. I've been investigating ways to play aggressively against Queen D8. So here we are, the good old Scando. Okay, my theory isn't real good. We've got 5-5, which is sort of semi-blitz. My theory isn't really that well worked out nowadays. To be perfectly honest, I've played far more d4 than e4 in my life, and I don't think I've had too many games like with white in tournament situations, and certainly not against really strong players. This Scandinavian trend we're seeing now will certainly be being enhanced by Carlsen's adoption of the Scandinavian. I used to play the Scandinavian. I used to play both e takes d, knight f6, and queen takes d5, queen d6. Of course, Carlsen playing that against Caruana the other day. The queen d6. Yeah, just to let you guys know, in the last game, I mean, Shansha did this very natural minority attack at the end there, but it actually becomes a problem when he trades rooks, I think. The bishop endgame is not a good place to be when I have that majority. So maybe he should have just sat tight, you know, and not gone for the minority attack, because all he's doing is giving me chances to create an outside pass pawn. So this is a pretty old and standard line. A pretty solid line. I mean, bishop h5 is much more dangerous for both sides, more for black than white, I guess. But I think this is a solid way for black to play. I'm not sure if we should be thinking about trying to castle queenside. We had this discussion yesterday on the stream. Someone suggested that a strong player they knew suggested that you should always try to castle queenside against the Scandinavian. I said, well, you know, it kind of depends. I mean, it really depends what kind of formation black is setting up, where black's going to castle, if he's committed himself to any kind of action. It sounds like a nice recipe, like you're playing against the Sicilian, just castle queenside and attack, but it's not that simple. It really depends on the exact position. Here, we see knight on bd7, and I don't mind if you play e5 in general, because it should open up the position for my bishops. I think you should be trying to keep my bishops restricted with black. So white has to play a very patient game here. Bishop d2. The problem with bishop d2, he has moves like queen b6, which could double attack pawns. Maybe not a threat on b2, but what do I do about the pawn on? I think just castling kingside. I mean, it looks like the sanest thing to do here, and hope that the bishop pair for white is something that I can put to use in the future. Difficult to do, though. Black usually has this pawn chain, which is very hard to break down. Carlsen plays Scandi as black. Yeah, it seems to be more prevalent for him to do that. I mean, and against a strong player, against like Caruana, who's, and not the first time either. He beat Caruana last year, or I don't know, was it last year or the year before with the Scandinavian? Again, if I play bishop d2, the d4 pawn is kind of like, how do I protect that? G4, G5? I really want to weaken my king side and open the H file after G4, H6. I think that D5 is an idea you should usually be trying to play in the Scandinavian. Where to put my bishop. A3. A3, B4. Okay, difficult to know how to play against a player I don't know anything about. It's a brand new account. A3 is a quiet move, maybe too quiet. I talk about breaking the pawn chain, so obviously this is a major idea. I could do B4, B5 very quickly. Which kind of makes sense. And I have played 4 Rook B1. It's a move of Jan Elvest's here. With a similar idea. Wow, very interesting. Alright, we're going to go for it here. And things are complicated because he's breaking with E5. This is interesting because if I take, he opens up the position for my bishops. I think taking was feasible as well. Just realize that you have that. You're not getting your queen trapped. And that nearly gets your queen trapped, doesn't it? Wow. This looks... Take bishop d2. Man. Take bishop d2 followed by rook b1 and trying to trap the queen. I totally overlooked it. I think we've got to sacrifice something here. I overlooked bishop takes b4. It's somewhat dangerous for black, though, no matter what. There's also the possibility of taking on e5 at some moment. His queen is semi-trapped. I don't know if this is enough for the sacrifice materially or not. sacrificed materially. Maybe it's a draw. Maybe not. Play b5. Letting his queen free. Kind of dangerous, but yet interesting. Yeah, 5-second increment. My opponent has just 3 games. It's a forced draw. If I had more time, I would definitely look for ways to try to win. Maybe b5 in some moments, sacrificing another piece. It looks really close to working. But without much time here, I actually just blundered bishop takes b4, so I feel kind of fortunate not to lose. Alright, next game, Geese, Nash Equilibrium, Custom Mods. Andrea, thanks for changing the time control. FM Tactician. Got a whole list of players. We have an hour and 10 minutes. Usually one game is like 10 or 12 minutes. So I don't think we're going to get to play everybody. We're going to do our best. Yeah, okay. Guitar player, welcome, man. You're a Scandinavian fan. So I don't know about that game. That was pretty weird. I think that a3 and b4 was just mistaken. I should play some more fundamental kind of plan. So Geese playing the Caro-Kann. I'm a little bored with that. With that knight a3 Sicilian he plays. Guys, you can check out my videos on YouTube, Video Chess Training is the name of my channel. This week we're going to put up another new video. Last week's video, the audio was a little low. I'm aware of that, but just turn it up and it will be fine. Once a week, or maybe 2 or 3 a week if I can get them in. Instructive chess videos on YouTube. If you're interested in chess lessons, we have availability for more students, people who want to learn. Check out my profile, my chess coach profile here on Lichess, and send me an email or message here on Lichess. The email is videochesstrainer@gmail.com. So bishop b5 check. What do we think about that? I think the problem with bishop b5 check is that there are 2 problems, actually. The first problem is that when you have more space, you shouldn't be trying to trade pieces. And secondly, because white's structure is based on pawns on dark squares, this is usually his quote-unquote good bishop, which helps kind of guard the white squares in the position. So I think this is typically not played. But it's not like a terrible blunder. I could play bishop takes and queen a5 check here, sending white back. And you might think that my queen is like developed. You might think my queen is developed a bit prematurely, but in this kind of position, I'm thinking that maybe the queen goes to a6 to control this diagonal. I don't know about my last move. I could have played pawn takes pawn, bringing his queen out, but I'm not sure that's really right. So Geese is putting a lot of pawns on dark squares. He's not concerned about good bishop, bad bishop, in other words. But I think here I should definitely take, kind of gain a tempo, and destroy his central pawn on d4. Still, I don't think the white's position is necessarily bad. I would prefer black at this stage, though. Ever so slightly. Queen takes queen, knight takes queen. Leaving his knight in a position where it's probably not that well placed. Could get into c5. This knight could come to c5. We can play bishop to b4, though. Interesting move. Bishop to b4. I don't know, guys. I mean, it just seems like a somewhat equal position. Black's a little bit for preference, I think, here. What about avoiding an exchange of queens? I don't think it's really correct. Too costly to move my queen again in terms of time. Would I go like b6 or something? Leave his queen somewhat useful on a4. There's really a choice between bishop b4 and trading queens on a4. I'm not sure which is better. You could play queen takes queen, knight takes queen, b5. It's kind of a cool idea. Wow. Queen takes queen, knight takes queen, b5. Or even knight b4, knight d4 type moves to attack c2 straight away. Force white to defend with king d1. It's pretty cool, but I'm not sure that, you know, we have enough. I'm not sure we have enough pressure here to really do anything serious to him. The white king will go to d1 and protect c2. And the king will be in the center, where it should be, actually, in the ending. So the other option of b5 would that serve to just kind of weaken my position, or would it be useful? I'm sometimes indecisive, probably a quality of strong players. Yeah, if we knew everything, like, it would be easy, wouldn't it? I'm very indecisive. But I think you have to find the right moves through kind of asking yourself these questions. Jonathan Rowson talks about this a little bit in his Chess for Zebras. I guess self-talk, which is something that Hassan Qureshi talks about in How to Be a Poker Player, a philosophy. The Philosophy of Poker, which is an excellent book. If you're a poker player, I highly recommend it. Talking to yourself, asking yourself questions about the position. It's really, really important. Maybe rook c8. Just developing a piece with the threat of pressure down the c-file. This move is based on more intuition. Principled, though. I mean, you've got a half-open file, put the rook on it. It enhances my threats along the file with knight d4 and knight b4. It develops a piece. He put on an indecisive face about the fact that he's indecisive. Yeah, I think the only way to be not indecisive, is to know everything. Or pretend you don't, or pretend you know everything. There's a lot of people like that. A lot of really bad, fake kind of chess coaches. I'm not going to name any names, but who know everything, and that's why they're the best coaches, because they know everything already, and they'll just like rehearse what they know, and that's a good way to create dogma, and dogma is bad. The older we get, the less creative I feel that we get, which is bad. So try to fight against dogma and try to fight against losing your creativity. That's why I was thinking about this idea, guys, to do a day where we play unorthodox openings, because the more routine it gets, the more uncreative we are. Uncreative, is that a word? The more we get into that kind of dogmatic way of playing chess and looking at the game. And alright, so he does king d1. Where'd you get that idea, man? That's a pretty good idea. Knight h6 from the side. Can we have two vulture-like knights? Just a standard way of developing in this kind of structure. Not really concretely. I've not really got any concrete plan. There is the nice little fork at f2, but I'm not sure that's going to really come to. Threat stronger than the execution. I think we've all heard that before. So I think that applies here. Geese made a radically costly move in terms of time in h3, and I'm not sure he needed to do that. It also weakens his structure a bit. Do I want to play h4? Although it fixes my pawn on a dark square, I think that creating a static weakness at g2 is probably a good thing. And we have an idea. We have a way to try to take advantage of that pawn. Very awkward position for white. Silman Pandolfini. What, Rook b1? Are you gonna play like b4? It's pretty radical. If I just do b5 and a6, for example. All of our pawns are on the right, quote-unquote, color here. Except for that guy. All of our pawns, almost all of our pawns, are on the right color. Geese is hanging in there. It is a blitz game, relatively blitz game. Technically, according to Lee Chess, it is quote-unquote classical. Classical, I think of, whoa. So I think we're going to get him. Maybe not. Knight a2. Classical, I'm thinking like, man, that's like 40 moves in 2 hours. Rook h2, is that only move? Classical's like 40 moves in 2 hours. 20 moves in 1 hour. And sudden death. The classical to me is like the, what is it? Like 8-hour time control. I like the 8-hour time control with adjournments. That's the classical time control. 7 minutes with 3 seconds. I mean, I'm old school. We can call it blitz. For all intents and purposes. Have you ever played correspondence? No. Not in real life. Just on the internet. you know. So he had to play rook h2. That would have been really ugly if he wanted to defend the pawn. I thought that bishop e1 earlier, that would have been really weird because of knight e3 check. It's a hard position to defend for him, so a lot of problems here caused by the bad bishop. Caused by h3 too. He didn't need to play h3. You know, that's the thing. What I said about the threat is stronger than the execution. Sometimes we're afraid of ghosts and we make moves that make our position worse when we didn't really need to. You know, I'm not sure knight g4 was that big a deal. Alright, now he's regrouping, and that makes sense to me. So we've got to... Actually, I don't mind simplifying a little bit here, since I am up material. A clear pawn. I've got some pressure against c2. We could trade down almost everything. Will I lose my h-pawn in the end, though? I was thinking rook takes knight and knight g3 check and trade everything down. Is it really enough? You know, can we increase the pressure? It's like it would be better to improve my position somehow. It's just marginally improves my position. I didn't see any concrete threats. You could play bishop d4, or something to d4. Just incrementally trying to improve my position. I don't know if he's thinking about like a4 with some sort of counterplay. That stops that fork I have with knight d4. Alright, this might be a mistake. Probably not a big one if it is. Rook takes. Alright, I don't know what to do. I'm gonna just start chopping stuff off here. Going into this ending where we're pawn up. I think I had better, but I didn't have enough time to really find it. Bishop d4. It's like he's hanging on there. I'm not sure this is even a great move. Bishop d4. No, he's got a pretty good king, and I could be going the wrong way with this whole plan. I feel like I've got to watch my h-pawn. Definitely didn't play this the best. g5. Whoa. Scary. What? Oh, wow, okay. Probably not the best way to do that. I should have just gone after the pawn. But anyway, it's enough to win now. But I think he was on the verge of equalizing in this game. Just no knight, no bishop d4. Alright, next game. Thanks for the game, Geese. Nash Equilibrium. Statistical poker player. Alright, guys. Sub-Zero MG. What's up, guys? You want to tell stories about bad chess coaches? No, honestly, I'm not trying to single anybody out. I just know there's a lot of people out there who are very dogmatic. And we see it in players and coaches, too. No, I think Silman is good. I don't have any problem with Silman. He tries to keep it simple. I mean, his audience for his books is not like really advanced players. But I wouldn't be critical of Silman. So he seems like a good, legitimate chess author. So here we go with c5. Saw an interesting idea recently. What was it? A new idea here. What was it? Oh, okay. Alright. Yeah, I was looking at some old Rubinstein games. I no longer want rated games. Oh, this is rated. Okay. Yeah, we kind of swore off the rated because it's too hard to concentrate, and Nash Equilibrium is insta-moving after b3. Really? I just played this like extremely rare move with b3, and Nash Equilibrium he just like insta moved. He's not using any time. But are you playing bullet chess if it's an 8-minute game? Not really understanding. Okay, so we're gonna go with c5. Logical. To play with our pawns, our pawn majority on the queen side here. I'm not really sure what Nash Equilibrium's deal is, why he's playing bullet chess in an 8-3 challenge. That seems kind of odd to me. I was like just studying Rubinstein's games, and I came across b3, and I thought it would be an interesting game, but he just insta-moves the seemingly random rook b8. This might be a known move, I'm not sure. But it's certainly a pretty rare position. No. Black's position looks kind of dubious. Should we play b6? Force bishop f4, g3, bishop h6? I don't see it's necessary. His only counterplay is basically e5. But that, at the moment, doesn't seem possible. It's 8-minute bullet. think I should play the protected pass pawn to c6. This f5 is a bad move. I was starting to think his position was actually getting kind of interesting there. I mean, still he has some chances. I don't understand what he's trying to prove here. This game where we're playing like bullet when we have 8 minutes seems to me like a waste of time. Pawn takes or rook takes? I guess rook takes. Maybe pawn takes, stopping knight f6. Yeah. Stops the retreat, knight f6. But I think you'd be better off playing bullet. Just want to bring this bishop back to the king's side. Protect the king's side. Like he's playing without two pieces. Knight takes g3, queen takes g4. Black's gonna get mated if he doesn't have anything here. There's the F file, rook A7. How's my neck? Still have some issues, but it's better. We don't know what it is. Maybe I'm part. I was talking about Kirsan. Let me preface by saying I was talking yesterday about Kirsan being abducted by aliens, and maybe it's some kind of genetic modification the aliens did to me or something. I don't know. All right, man. I think I have to take. So, there's no real threat here. You can see Queen H1 is not a threat. Queen D4 check can be met by Bishop E3. So it looks really bad. Probably a lot of moves win. Queen G4. There are some mistakes I could make. Letting H1 fall to his control or something. King G2. How about that? Looks like a kind of sensible move. Attacking his knight. Now he doesn't have any checks. So rook F1, threatening mate. I had a better move there, I think, but we can use it next move. Or not. Or not. Yeah, he's totally out of his mind. With the 1 second moves. The guy would have berserked Sledgy. Yeah, I lost to somebody who berserked me once. It was like a 17 or 1800 player. I was pretty pissed off about it. In one chess game on Lee Chess. It's the only time I've been berserked. I wasn't happy about it. I guess this was a guy who just berserks every game, so I couldn't really hold it against him, but still, it doesn't feel good to have somebody give you time odds and beat you anyway. That reminds me of a game I played once in a rapid tournament. Actually, a friend of mine, wasn't really a close friend of mine then, but he's friendly with me now, Grandmaster Sebe Attila. It was a 15-minute time control, and I was paired with white against Attila, and he's a really good blitz player and rapid player, and very fast. But something happened, like, between rounds, they left the tournament hall with a friend to get a drink or something, and ended up coming to the board, like, I want to say, probably like 13 minutes late. Custom mods. So he came to the board, he beat me. Well, I kind of like, I beat myself. With basically like 15-2 time odds in a 15-minute game. But Attila plays really fast anyway, so it wasn't really a big deal for him. But against, for the other guy, it's very hard. You feel like there's this pressure on you that you have to win because the other guy's giving you these massive time odds. So I just felt extra pressure because I had 15 minutes and he had 2 minutes. And he just played it like it was a bullet game and simply won. Yeah, that was very awkward. Andrea. Yeah, Andrea I think Andrea's a guy. Saronche. C takes D. And it's the Marshall defense. Very rare opening. So I'm playing with the idea of maybe making tomorrow, like Wednesdays, wacky Wednesdays. For me, at least, it's optional for you guys, to play kind of experimental and offbeat openings. Bishop g4. Now, I have faced Bishop f5 against the late Dr. Kopek in an online exhibition game, but Bishop g4... Bishop g4 is a little different. I could certainly play Queen b3. Reti Ricard. There's a new Ricard in town. And although he's 2700, he's pretty damn inconsistent. Custom Mods forgot about this guy. So we're going to pass on the rated challenges. Last time I wasn't paying attention. I think that Alexandra might have been higher in the list. Do you guys... I mean, I don't think I'm being favoritistic toward women, but I'm not sure that Andrea, who's probably a man, is the only one who was dropped down in the list. I had the feeling that WGM Alexander was up there ahead of these other guys. Does anybody have a recollection of that? Because I'm almost 90% sure. Maybe e3 not the best way of doing that. Just play a3 here. Yeah. Kick it away, and then the thing is the knight can get a little awkward on h5, so I don't really want to play... I don't always want to play e3. I don't even know what that is. I will sign up to King's Gambit as white if that happens. Sign up. Well, it's not going to be that formal that we're going to have sign-ups, but I'm just thinking like a day where I'm streaming Blitz and Classical where I'm playing more, kind of fun and experimental openings. Yeah, WGM was higher also. I thought so. So Alexandra and Andrea will be next. And then maybe Andrea first. I'm not sure who was first. But it doesn't really matter. Those games will get played, and then we'll start from the top, I guess. So I could play e3 now. We're up a piece. I've always got a square for the knight. If something crazy happens with h5, I can play knight e5. And now I want to play f4. Stonewall attack, piece up. This guy's defended. It also has the retreat to f2. So we're good. Yes, first women. Yeah, I don't know if... yes, first women. Andrea, I don't know if you're a man or a woman. I'm sure that Andrea is a man's name in Italy. So, g3... I mean, maybe it's both, but... G3. A lot of people just assume that it's a woman's name. Not necessarily. In many countries, that might be the case. Then will be the end of the stream. No, I mean, we're good for half an hour, so that's probably three. I would say 3 more games, unless like they're really obscenely long. Around 12:30, I'm gonna stop. 12:30 my time. What about you, guitar player? Did you get dropped down? I mean, I don't know. Tactesian bipolar disorder and guitar player. It seems like the order got kind of messed up. I'm not really sure. We could flip a coin to see who the last game would be. But anyway. No way, man. Italian male names end in O. Andreo? No, I don't think so, dude. I'm not sure about that, dude. I mean, most of them do. But I don't think it's that ironclad. Andreo is not a name in any language. Yeah. Andrea derives from the Greek andros, which means man. Exactly. It's not like... I love it. To make a really funny joke. Who was that? Monkey Suffrage said, Italian male names end in O. Like, you never played, like, Mario Brothers? Luigi doesn't end in O. I just couldn't resist, you know? I'm just kidding. No, it's definitely not. Andrea is definitely a name. Andras is Hungarian version. And finally another piece. We collect the pieces here. Alright, so we play the ladies first. People who got pushed down in the list, and then maybe one more game, depending on how long they are. Luigio. Luigio does end in O. Is it over? Where's the resignation? I missed it. Okay. Thanks for the game. So, we're going to play Alexandra, which is a woman's name. WGM. I don't know if she's a real WGM or a WGM elect. E4. WGM Alexandra. I think I did play a WGM Alexandra from Serbia years ago. Probably not the same one. A6. We're going to play tomorrow. We're going to save that for tomorrow. Luigi is a male plural ending. It doesn't count there. I'm just kidding. Androsh. Alright. Well, maybe the last 2 games of the stream, if they're full 15-minute games. I've got to go birthday shopping for my son. It's his 6th birthday today. Knight F6. A D6. We've got 30 minutes to spare. I did play women's Grandmaster Alexandra. I want to say Dmitrievich. I can't remember. Maybe not. One WGM from Serbia years ago, named Alexander. Of course, we got Alexander Kosteniuk, who's a men's GM. There's probably a lot of WGM Alexandros wandering around. Son of Slaggy. Son of Slaggy he's a wild man. He's pretty crazy. But he's into other video games. Not chess. Rook c8. I saw a Google photo with his son when he was just born. Maybe it was my daughter. A daughter too. Family. I'm a dad. Queen d4, queen a5. I don't really talk about my personal life on the stream, but birthday is a big deal. Queen takes d4, queen a5. This is similar to yesterday, but not quite the same. Not quite the same. Why is it not quite the same as my game yesterday, guys? Because f4 was already in? How did that work? So quickly, Shansha had f4 e5 yesterday. No, he's in Hungary, yeah. Yeah, we live here most of the year. So, alright, now Alexander goes in this line. I've played rook takes e3 quite a bit. It's... Wait a minute, maybe I can transpose back to the other variation. e6. Okay, so we can go back to that. e6 here. Yeah, actually, let's go there and transpose to our game with Shansha from yesterday. Yesterday against Mr. Shansha, we played knight d5. It's WGM Alexandra is like 2100 in bullet. She got the 1700 classical after 5 games. I don't know who she was playing with to be 1700 in classical after 5 games. But she's playing like Leonid Yudasin so far. Yeah, let's be a little more respectful, guys. That's not cool to talk like that. Why did you go back to Europe? Back to Europe because Queen h4. Back to Europe, asks Senior Justice Bot. Well, Senior Justice Bot, I went back to Europe to get a GM norms, to get my GM norms. Then I got sidetracked, mostly getting really, really, really into online poker, to be perfectly honest. I have to go buy a present. Getting him a bicycle, man. Probably some Legos or something. I still have to go shopping. Justice Bot says I bet it's nice there. Senior Justice Bot. Dude, somebody in Texas like used my debit card, and I'm gonna have to send you out and have you hunt them down for me. Do you do work as a private investigator, Justice Bot? So, which part of which part of Texas are you in? Um, are you near? You're in Dallas, right? No. Where are you? In Texas. Can I send you? Can I send you to beat them up for using my debit card? It's some. I'll let my credit card do the investigation. I'm just kidding. King B1. Yeah, this is definitely feeling like a legit WGM here. She's playing better than... I mean, not better, but she's on a par with Sha and Sha, to be perfectly honest. But I surprised her with my theoretical preparation. You're in Oregon. Oh, no. Well, that's not going to do us any good. Alright, we got to attack here. Attack! Oregano. WGM Alexandra. Thank God this isn't a rated game. She's 1,700. How do you get 1,700 after 5 games? WGM Alexandra. Who were you playing? Like, you lost to... who exactly did you lose to be 1,700? I'm kind of curious. She's scaring me. I can't castle. I guess H6 or something. This looks pretty shaky for black, actually. Queen H4 is a new idea, from what I know. TN. Bipolar Disorder says it's a fake account. I'm pretty sure. We're all fake accounts, right? This is all just the Matrix. Reality doesn't exist. I can't castle, and I'm going to come under this really strong attack over there. So I better play H6. I'm just going to hang out and wait and see what happens. But yeah, it looks like a really strong account, but it doesn't gel with the 1,700 after 5 games. Not understanding. I mean, that means that you like lost 0 out of 0 for 5 against like 2100s. Or, you know, what exactly does that mean? But bullet in 20, yeah, that's pretty solid. 2100. $2,100 in bullet is solid. 20 games. Don't abuse the mod. Monkey Suffrage is always pushing the envelope. The envelope. Oh. It'd be interesting to sack the exchange here. I don't really know. I attack pawn. Queen c7 feels like I'm going the wrong way. A little bit. With this position. Yesterday against Sean Shaw, and it's a common strategy that in this line we're going to try to pick off this pawn on e5. Maybe if I lose the pawn on d4, I still have good drawing chances. It's kind of what I'm trying to say, guys. What I'm trying to say is something like that. Should still have good drawing chances, even if we do drop this pawn on d4 in some lines. Wow. Maybe we'll have to go like full Topalov here and play like g5. Extreme measures. But looks like white is clearly better. h5 is interesting. Nah. Looks like white is clearly better. This pawn is just simply weak on d4. Look how she plays. Very, very scary. Maneuvering. Full board maneuvering. I wouldn't want to play any rated games with this account. I'll tell you guys now. Looks like I'm serious trouble here. I feel like Nigel Short against Seth Rahman yesterday, or a few days ago, whenever it was. Guys, I have one more game after this debacle. The unverified accounts that play like GMs. It's another one of them. Double GM, WGM. Double GM. WGM. It's more like GM. Just period. Men's GM, women's GM. This account is both. It looks like. At least. Just too strong. Just totally crushing me. Thanks for the game, whoever or whatever you are. I might as well just resign now. This pawn is gone. My king isn't safe. I'm going to have to give that pawn up. Maybe not. We could play queen takes e5 here. That loses two. Notice that little tactic here. Yeah, this machine. This is like a machine, dude. This is like a machine. Either an overall GM or a computer. Or a very, very strong IM. Could be a WGM. If it is, it's like at least 2400 FIDE. Time usage by white, very consistent, very steady. I feel lucky to even trade queens at all. Some chance of survival. Looks like it is possible. There's no way this account could have 5 games, 1700 provisional rating. I don't see that. How that could happen. Really, if it wasn't for that, it wouldn't bother me, but five games provisional 1700. Who did you play? Like 0 for 5 against 2100s. Maybe White's just gonna lose on time. White's still clearly better. Well, it's not Alexandra Kostenyuk because she would be GM Alexandra. So if I take this pawn here, we go and try to get into force an ending where it's 3 against 2. Should be a draw. But there's a massive trick there. At the end, rook d8 check, king f7. Alright. Oh, okay, we play rook. We can't play rook g1. Check that out. We can't play rook g1. So I have to play this now. And rook d8 check. Didn't play it. We can hold this. This is technical draw. But White was totally winning earlier. Our hero Gaia Megami would not lose this position with black. All right. This is not losable. Check her out. She's like, is the increment gonna take me out? Yeah, I think we should play b5. Create the everlasting fortress. You guys tell me what you think. WGM Alexandra definitely should not be 1700. Good game. Last game against Tactesian. No, my own Andrea game. Crazy. Okay. Andrea. Last game for today. That was a horrible, horrible experience. I was definitely busted. Somehow, through White getting in time pressure, I reached a drawn ending. Andrea Perrone. Alright, we'll play the Sicilian. Breaking. US beats Canada. She won 3 games, has surrendered the rest halfway through. Okay, so that's logical. That's the only way that she could be 1700. Like, resigning against weak players. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, our favorite opening here on the stream. You just take your mouse and flag them. You mean, yeah, I mean, I did that a lot of times against computer cheaters. you can just flag them for sure. But with the 3-second increment, I don't think, you know, it's fine if it's 5-0. I love it when the computer cheaters are like operating, and they're actually like really incompetent, slow move entry people. So you can just like flag them in 5-0. But with the 3-second increment, I don't know if you can even flag anybody. Castles. Started with really awesome moves. And then just when I had lost position, started to kind of fade. Interesting, weird Smith-Morrow with a bishop on e2. I'm not sure if I should necessarily even play bishop g4. It's certainly more solid to play something like e6. Maybe even just g6 would be best against this formation by white. Since there's no threats on f7, I'm playing a little dogmatically in this game. A little too dogmatically, I think. I mean, it's good to get the bishop out and all that, but white's particular setup, I think it would have been best to play g6. You don't get a chance to do that too often on the black side of the Smith-Morrow. I feel like in this particular game, now we have weird piece sacrifice kind of ideas for white. He could play knight d5, bishop g5, etc. Probably not if I play e6 though. Puncher of kittens. Chess was invented in 1851. That's disturbing. It sounds like a wow. That is really disturbing. Mattel trying to like steal the origins of chess. Andrea Peroni, I think you should have investigated like knight takes c6 earlier without playing bishop g5 and giving up the dark squared bishop. Maybe right here you could play, for example, knight takes c6, b takes c6, e5. Although you don't really want to trade queens, so maybe something like knight takes c6, b takes c6, queen a4, and then e5. Interesting book I want to recommend to everybody called Modern Chess Opening Theory. It's not modern. It was first published in the 60s. It was later republished through the 80s by Tigran Petrosian's former trainer, Alexei Swayton, and it discusses things like this, these kind of concepts in different openings. It's a great primer for understanding basic opening play. That idea that I just showed you guys with knight takes c6 and breaking up the pawn chain, this sort of thing reminded me of that book. Explanations of concepts and whatnot. I could play f6 here. It's not really necessary though. Probably best to just play c5. And make sure this pawn isn't backwards. (1851) must have been the first. It must have been the first year they published or I don't know if you call it publishing, produced a chess board game for a commercial company. Queen f3. So f5 becomes a break for white. I'm gonna stop that. Try to stop that with g6. Will weaken my king side a bit if I do play g6. So we can think about other ways to stop f5. One way would be to put pressure on the e5 pawn. Queen c7. It's sort of an awkward looking square. I mean, since I am opposite his rook, but you know, if it concretely stops f5, it stops f5. To be a little bit worried about this piece build up. Starting to wonder if I should have played f6 after all. Get a little more counterplay. Rook b3, knight takes d5. I've set myself up for that. Let's change plans. I can always take on f5 too. Am I indecisive? Yes. Very indecisive. Maybe f5. Totally changing plans. We have some tactical ideas. Gotta be careful though. These three heavy pieces, I thought g5, that's a mistake. I think closing it up is the wrong idea there. Queen b7. I don't think you should close up the lines. You were on the verge of some kind of real attack, and closing lines with g5, probably not the right idea. Playing the WGM made him indecisive. No, I was indecisive before that. We were talking about that before. If this is not overly censored stream, I will leave and never come back. Overly censored. We win a piece. So tomorrow, guys, I'll be back. I don't know if Monkey Suffrage will, but we will be back on Wednesday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Wednesday, Tuesday, Wednesday. The choice is yours. Yeah, I'm a big believer in censorship. Not really. Alright. This is gonna be ugly. But Andrea, just when they got to the point where it looked like really had a chance for something with g4, playing g5, closing it up, not good. But I think earlier you should have played this concept of knight takes c6 and breaking up my pawn chain. How many matches did I already have today? Yeah, usually like 10 or 11. Mate. No, just kidding. Just kidding. It is if you go to h5. I should have waited. He'll never fall for it this time. Now, it's different. Thanks for the games, guys. We're going to be back tomorrow and watch the stalemates. You can check out my videos on video chess training on YouTube. This week we're going to be adding a new one. If you're interested in chess lessons, or you're welcome, man. If you're interested in chess lessons, send me an email, videochesstrainer@gmail.com. And he did resign. Thanks for the games, guys. We will be back, so hang in there till tomorrow. Take it easy. Bye-bye. Thank you to guitar player and Sarontia as well. Anyway, really bye-bye. See you later. Thanks for joining me here today.